On today's show, I'm going to show you what we eat in a plant-based day. Welcome to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We're not doing our typical recipe, we're doing a what we eat in a day. So our viewers often ask what we eat in a day, like what does our typical day look like? And I think because we do the show, people just assume we make these big elaborate meals and desserts all of the time. Well, some of it's true. I'm always working on new recipes, so we always have something really interesting to eat. But for the most part, we eat really simply. We do a lot of batch cooking during the week so that we have things already made, they're in the fridge, they just need to be reheated, and we can use them in multiple ways for multiple dishes. It just saves time and effort, and for those out there that are working or have kids, this just simplifies things. So, you don't have to think that you have to make 3 meals a day and from scratch. None of that. We're all about doing things simply. So we're going to start with our breakfast. I'm going to start with Jeff's breakfast. He really loves oatmeal, so we're going to start with that. He has this process that he came up with, just making oatmeal and buckwheat groats in the Instant Pot. So he sticks a cup of oat groats, half cup of buckwheat groats, and 3 cups of water in the Instant Pot for 35 minutes on pressure cook, and then he just lets it naturally cool down. And once it's cooled down, he puts it in a Tupperware container, adds a little bit more water, and then sprinkles about 2 tablespoons of flax meal on the top and stirs that in. And he does that so that the flax meal can kind of soak up that liquid from the oatmeal and it kind of jellifies. And then you stick that in the fridge, and then you have that for the next few days. All you have to do is heat it up. So how he heats it up, he gets out the container out of the fridge, takes out his portion into a little saucepan, adds a little soy milk and some frozen berries, because we always use frozen berries. They're just better. They're actually more nutritious because they're picked fresh off the vine and flash frozen. And then they just keep better. If you've ever gone to the grocery store and gotten those cute little pints of berries and the next day there's a pile of mold on there, and it's just so frustrating because they're so expensive. So the frozen berries are also more affordable, and they're just easy. You just pop them out, pop them in your dish, and just let them thaw out a little bit. But for his breakfast, he heats it up in the pan so that it kind of thaws while it's cooking. And then he usually garnishes it with some kind of fresh fruit, like mangoes and bananas, and then maybe some fresh nuts, like today he chose walnuts. So that's a really good filling breakfast that will really get you from breakfast to lunch, no problem. So mine's it's very similar, but just a little bit different. I usually just eat a bowl full of chopped fruit, fresh fruit. So I have apples and bananas. I put some of the frozen blueberries and cherries, and then I sprinkle on some nuts and some flax meal on there. And I like to have toast. This is our buckwheat bread right here. So I just toast up a piece and put some nut butter. Peanut butter is usually my favorite. So I usually have that made. I make that in the beginning of the week so that we already have it done. Keep it in the fridge, and then you just slice off a piece as you go. So that's great to have already pre-made. So you can have sandwiches or, a piece of toast for a snack if you're hungry throughout the day. And then I usually have a cup of coffee with my breakfast. So that's usually what our breakfast is, and that's just for now. It's kind of what we're into right now for this season. When it starts getting cooler in the fall, we might change it up a little bit. We like to have different things, more warm type of cereal kind of things. But that's a typical breakfast for us. I'm going to clear this out and I'll show you what we're having for lunch. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of free printable recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook series, are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting membership community. So if you love our recipes, I invite you to join us on our mission to make plant-based cooking easy, and follow the link in the description to become a supporting member today. There's no denying the plant-based diet is a nutrient powerhouse, but did you know there are a handful of hard-to-get nutrients even well-crafted diets are often lacking?
The latest research suggests that complementing your diet with a few specific vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s will help boost your energy and keep you thriving for the long term. That's why my daily health routine includes Complement Essential. Complement Essential contains the 8 critical nutrients lacking from most plant-based diets in dosages optimized specifically for us. As a special discount for our viewers, just use code PLANTBASEDEASY at checkout to save 15% off of your order.
Okay, now on to lunch. So lunch, we usually eat either a big salad or we eat leftovers from the evening before of the main meal. But today we're doing salad, and this is simply just some spring mix that we have. I've got some sliced cucumbers, tomatoes, onions. I've got some nasturtium flowers from my garden and some little chopped up cubes of tofu that I've already cooked, and then some beans. So I wanted to talk about beans a little bit. We always cook up a pot of beans every week so that we have that ready to go too, because it's a great thing just as a side to sprinkle on your salads, to make into some bean dip. It's just a great thing to have. So we always start from just dry beans and we cook them in the Instant Pot just the same. It depends on what kind of bean you use to how much time is in the Instant Pot, but we have a video about that and we'll give you the link to all these recipes and everything in the details below. And then we have one of our salad dressings. So we just kind of choose a different salad dressing, for whatever mood we're in. And we have about 15 different types of salad dressing recipes, which we'll give you that link below too. So that's typically what we would eat for lunch. Very simple, very filling, because the salad dressings are delicious. And we find that that is really the key to getting those salads in. If you don't have a great tasting salad dressing, you're not going to be excited about eating salads. So we've made up these really amazing salad dressing recipes, and it really, trust me, it makes you want to eat salad more because they're so good. So there's that. Then usually in the mid-afternoon, we might be getting a little bit hungry. Sometimes we don't snack, but usually we do because we love to eat. So we would have some hummus. This is our hummus recipe, which also will have a recipe link for you below. It's amazing, delicious, we love it. We always have hummus on hand. And then we have chips. And I know these aren't homemade chips. Sometimes I do make homemade chips from little tortillas, but just for convenience, these are a really good choice because both of these are very minimal ingredients. I think they only have like 2 or maybe 3 ingredients. So popcorners and Garden of Eden blue corn chips. There's, it's just like corn and oil. Yes, there's oil in it, they're chips. But, that's a great alternative. Just a few of those with some hummus. And then we love our sweets and our desserts. So we always have some stuffed dates on hand, and I have a video also on that where I show you how to make these. Super simple. It's a really good idea to always make these ahead of time so that when you do have that sweet craving, you can just grab one and you're good to go. Then you don't make the mistake of, if you're out and about, grabbing a candy bar or a muffin or something like that. These, trust me, these will curb your sweet craving, and they're very filling. One is definitely, for me, it's enough. Jeff likes to have 2, but they're so delicious and so easy. So this is a typical lunch and then a midday snack. All right, now on to dinner. So our dinners are usually a little bit more simple because we try to eat more of our bigger meals in the beginning of the day or midday. So we like to use sweet potatoes a lot as the base for many of our sauces. So we cook up a bunch of sweet potatoes at the beginning of the week. Sometimes we'll use Japanese sweet potatoes, white sweet potatoes, and sometimes purple ones, just whatever is available at the store. And we cook those in the Instant Pot. We just simply rinse them off. You don't have to cut them or poke them or anything. Toss them in the Instant Pot in the little steamer basket. Put about a cup of water in there and cook them for 22 minutes on pressure cook. And then once those are cooled down, stick them in a Tupperware and get those into the fridge because they're just so easy to pop out of the fridge. Press it onto a plate, cut it into little cubes. You could sprinkle that onto your salad or whatever you're eating that day, or use it as a base for our delicious sauces. And that's what we've done here today. This is our West African peanut sauce, which is amazing. This is probably our favorite sauce and one that we come back to over and over and over again. And it's a pretty big amount, so when you make that, you can have that for multiple meals during the week. You can have it for dinner and then maybe for lunch the next day instead of salad, kind of switch things out so it doesn't get boring. But trust me, you won't get bored of this. When you finish that pot, you'll be like, when are we having that again? Because it's so, so good. So that's typically what we have for our dinner. And we have a lot of different sauces that will go really deliciously over a mashed sweet potato. It's all on our website. There's tons of recipes, so go check it out. So now, on to our favorite meal, dessert. All right, the desserts are here. So we would eat this right after our dinner. And we're really on an ice cream kick lately because we've got a Ninja Creamy machine and they make the most amazing hard solid ice cream. You could put it on a cone even. It's so great. We have 8 different flavors. Some are nice cream and then some are Ninja Creamy recipes. So this is our chocolate ice cream. Oh, I can't wait to dig into this one. That is our favorite one. So yeah, we usually have 2 or 3 different containers already made in the fridge or in the freezer because they have to set up or freeze for 24 hours before you spin them in the Ninja Creamy. And then sometimes late at night, if we're watching a movie or something, we get a little snacky, we'll have some watermelon because that's a pretty safe thing to eat, even if it's later at night. You don't have to worry about it too much. So we like to cut up our watermelon in these teeny little cubes because what we found is if you sprinkle or squeeze a little bit of lime juice over the top of that, these little cubes soak up a lot of that lime juice and it's kind of like eating sweet tarts. Ah, it's so refreshing. We just love it. So that's what we would have, every other day or so late at night for a snack. So that's it, guys. That's what we eat in a day. Come on back next week for another great recipe.